Welcome to Highway Herald, your guide to the auto world. Picture China, once a land of bicycles, now the world's largest auto market, leaving foreign automakers in its wake. Their golden era has ended, and their future is uncertain. As Michael Dunn, CEO of Dunn Insights, warns, if they lose in China, they could lose globally. Despite the challenges, some argue that foreign firms need to double down. If they don't compete in China, how will they fare when China shows up on their turf? Reason number 5, the massive market and its evolution. China's automotive industry, which traces its roots back to the early 1980s, began as a small sector with two Chinese automakers forming joint ventures with foreign manufacturers, one American and one German. The industry was in its infancy, with the Volkswagen Santana, the first vehicle, selling 1,700 units and dominating the market. At that time, only government institutions were permitted to buy vehicles. However, the landscape dramatically changed with reforms in the 80s and 90s, paving the way for the modern auto market we see today. In 1994, one of China's top planning commissions introduced the 1994 Auto Policy, allowing foreign automakers to own up to a 50% share in a joint venture with any Chinese auto manufacturer. These foreign firms were limited to starting no more than 2 joint ventures for any single type of vehicle. Over time, regulations favored foreign automakers capable of producing cars that met global quality standards using locally sourced parts. This led to General Motors, the world's largest automaker at the time, entering China in 1997 through a partnership with Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation. As China's economy liberalized and expanded, so did auto sales. According to Gregory Noble, professor at the University of Tokyo, demand tripled in the 1990s and early 2000s, following China's negotiations to enter the WTO. This provided more security and predictability for foreign automakers, and China's auto market took off. In less than a decade, sales grew tenfold, and China emerged as the world's largest car market. Reason number 4, the rise and fall of GM. Between 2014 and 2018, General Motors was thriving in China, earning $2 billion annually from its operations and joint ventures. In 2017, GM sold 4 million cars in China, surpassing its North American sales by 500,000. The Buick brand was particularly successful, with 80% of its global sales coming from China. Michael Dunn once described GM as the epitome of a successful US-China relationship. He recalled a GM China CEO stating that their profits in China were enormous, and that the Chinese loved their Buicks. It seemed that GM, Ford, and Jeep would enjoy a perpetual annuity in China. However, the reality was different. The market share of international auto manufacturers in China has changed rapidly. GM's sales have consistently declined since 2017, dropping to 2.1 million in 2023, lower than their US sales for the first time since 2009. GM's equity income, a measure of earnings in its second-largest market, fell 34% in 2023 to $446 million, with a 54% drop in the fourth quarter alone. Dunn noted that GM's sales have plummeted by over 50%, Ford's by over 60%, and Jeep has gone bankrupt and exited China. This drastic downturn for the Detroit 3 over the past 5 to 6 years illustrates the abrupt yet significant maturity of Chinese competitors, as pointed out by Lei Xin, former chief editor of China Auto Review. Before we delve deeper, we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to Highway Herald. Your support fuels our passion to create more content like this. Now, let's explore reason number 3, the evolution. Chinese automakers have made significant strides in quality and safety, as noted by Professor Gregory Noble. Initially, their cars failed many European crash tests, but within a decade, they achieved excellent results. This improvement was largely due to learning from foreign partners and joint ventures. However, Bill Russo, a former Chrysler executive, believes that cross-border investments were even more crucial in creating globally competitive brands. For instance, Nanjing Automobile Group acquired MGM, a legendary British brand, in 2005, and Geely purchased Volvo from Ford in 2010 for $1.8 billion. Government support also played a vital role, with China investing heavily in EVs to gain an edge over incumbents. This investment was partly to combat severe air pollution problems and also an economic decision. China aimed to leapfrog into electric vehicles, an area where no one was proficient. In 2008, during the financial crisis, the Chinese government invested massively in transportation, including a nationwide high-speed railway system, airports, and highways. The following year, They introduced tax cuts on smaller cars and incentives on vehicle sales in rural areas. Chinese firms are now leading in battery development and production, and have also become strong in software and infotainment systems. New entrants like Li Auto, Xpeng, NIO, Xiaomi, Huawei, Baidu, Tencent, and Alibaba view the car as a technology platform for the distribution of services, much like a rolling smartphone or computer. This concept is already popular in China, especially among younger buyers who prefer highly connected products. Reason number 2, the productivity surge. While the perception is that the Chinese government controls large state-owned enterprises, the reality is more nuanced. 3 major automakers are centrally controlled, but many are owned by provincial or municipal governments, with some being entirely private. Professor Gregory Noble notes that China's auto industry, despite not operating perfectly according to market principles, is highly competitive due to the number of producers and models. He suggests that the industry's aggressive pricing and rapid vehicle development might surprise many. This rapid development is exemplified by the pace of vehicle updates. Unlike in other countries where a refresh might occur every 2 to 3 years, in China, it can happen within a year, often with the new model being cheaper than its predecessor. Chinese CEOs like Elon Musk also engage with customers on social media platforms like Weibo and TikTok, creating tight feedback loops. However, political factors also play a role. Michael Dunn points out that political decisions, such as GM and South Korea's 2017 anti-missile defense agreement, have impacted the market share of foreign automakers in China. Over time, China has rolled back many of its rules, such as requiring joint ventures, reflecting the growing strength of its domestic auto industry. As Lei Xin puts it, the Chinese themselves learned they grew strong enough, so now there's no more protection needed. Let's just have people compete. Let's have the market open up. Reason number 1, the future. Michael Dunn predicts, "I don't want to sound overly dramatic. I just want to be realistic when I say that within the next 5 years, Ford, GM, Hyundai, Kia, Nissan, more likely than not, will be out of China. Some automakers, such as Volkswagen, are trying to stay in the game. They're working with local firms and trying to move faster from decision to execution. Tesla might be in better shape than its Detroit rivals, at least for now. It was the first foreign automaker to be able to set up shop in China without a joint venture, thanks to the liberalization of trade policies." Michael Dunn warns, "In my 27 years of living and working in China, what I've seen is a consistent pattern. That is, China invites in world-class companies, learns as quickly as they can the secret superpowers of those companies, and then gradually and almost methodically sees them through the exit door. And so Tesla one day will also meet this fate. You can bank on it." Russo hopes US firms will not back out of the country and instead invest more in local design, development, and production. He said, "Stay in the game in the next 3 to 5 years. Don't give up, right? Invest and find some way to introduce those products, maybe even build them in China. If you can't find scale in the United States, and then you at least have the hedge on the possibility of competing with China as they go global." That's all for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to Highway Herald to stay updated with the latest vehicle updates and upcoming videos. See you next time.